backdoor wrangling and 11 rounds of voting, Republican leader Kevin McCarthy appears no closer to being elected Speaker of the House.
And that means the House is at a standstill. Nothing can be done until a Speaker is elected. No swearing in, no committee appointments, no work at all being done for Americans.
So where can this be going, and what are the implications? For that, we turn to political analyst Morgan Pekma. So good morning, Morgan. Thank you for being here.
Good morning, Dan.
So in 1856, that's how far back we're going, the battle over electing a speaker went 133 rounds, took 2 months. You know, crystal ball moment, you know, how long could this go on before people are saying enough is enough?
Well, you know, the hard thing is, even if Kevin McCarthy steps aside, it's not clear who is the speaker in waiting. And so, you know, this turmoil could continue for quite a while. There is no consensus on who should lead this conference, and there are a lot of factions with people who have very different views of who should be in charge.
You know, and McCarthy's made a lot of concessions, you know, basically weakening the speakership. I mean, even if he manages to get elected, will he have any clout, really, to keep the Republican Party together with his margin to pass any legislation so thin?
That's absolutely right, Hazel. The concessions that McCarthy has reportedly accepted would dramatically reduce the power of the speakership, empower the rank and file. And in a lot of ways, that's a good thing right now, because the speaker holds all the cards and is essentially, you know, the one member who has any juice in the House of Representatives. But it's really problematic if you have some rabble-rousers who want to use that newfound power to undermine whoever holds the gavel in the House.
And that's what we're seeing, right? Because and you know this more than anybody. You've spent a significant amount of time with some of those members. You did this documentary on the swamp of Washington politics. So and you really talked to Matt Gaetz for an extended period of time. So what do you think of the 20 holdouts and the reason why they're doing this? Is it just principle, Morgan, or is it a dislike actually of Kevin McCarthy?
It's a variety of reasons. Matt Gaetz, who I followed for a year and a half for my HBO movie, The Swamp, he just hates Kevin McCarthy. He will never vote for Kevin McCarthy, regardless of the circumstances. Then there are some candidates who McCarthy didn't support in their primaries, and this is some payback for them. There are other folks who really believe that the House rules need to fundamentally change, like Chip Roy of Texas. And then there are other folks who smell blood in the water, who think that McCarthy's going down here, and why should they go out on a limb for him? Why not create the conditions for a speaker who might empower them more? And, you know, going back to what Hazel said, whenever you make concessions, you're taking something from someone else. So if you hand over some committeeships to some of these renegade members, well, you're taking that away from some of the members who are loyalists. And you're creating a whole host of new problems. And I think that this is going to become unsustainable for Kevin McCarthy at a point sooner than later.
Yeah, it's like, be careful what you wish for, right? So what do you make of these holdouts? Their refusal to listen to even Donald Trump's appeal for McCarthy?
You know, the speaker, because the speaker is so powerful, it matters a great deal who these members have to answer to. And so, you know, they have a point. They should have a speaker who is representative of the body that they want to serve in. But at the same time, this is obviously causing chaos within the Republican House member conference. And it's also causing chaos in the larger House, and it's certainly an embarrassment for Republicans. But, you know, it depends on what the reason was that you went to Washington. And a lot of people who got elected ran against the establishment, ran against the type of Republican that Kevin McCarthy really embodies, and they have to answer to their constituents.
Yeah, I mean, he needs, he can't afford to lose more than 4, right? So there's 20. We're going to see how that plays out once again today. You know, listening to carefully and listening to a lot of folks over the past couple of days, how is there not somebody in waiting, right? Or is there, and we just don't know about it yet because they're trying to play nice in the sandbox?
Well, I think Congressman Steve Scalise, who right now is the second in charge, is the natural next person to go to. If you remember, I mean, Kevin McCarthy was supposed to be the leader of the speaker before, and the conference went around him to kind of pull Paul Ryan out of thin air. So does Steve Scalise have the backing of the conference? Will he also have to make all of the concessions that McCarthy is reportedly making? and maybe he doesn't want to take it on those terms. So, there are so many different dynamics at play.
Yeah, just to follow up there, the concessions that McCarthy is making doesn't necessarily mean whoever else, if they go somewhere else, if they put another person up and that person gets the votes, they don't have to make the same concessions.
Absolutely not. And it's also, McCarthy could make those concessions, get the gavel, and then renege on all those concessions too, which is something that I'm sure the members are concerned about because they don't trust McCarthy.
I mean, here's the bottom line, though. Nothing can be done in D.C. right now. Nothing can be done. So is there anything or any kind of strategy that the Democrats should be pursuing right now so they can get down to business? Or should they just, sit back and let the Republicans have this ridiculous squabble?
Well, the Democrats don't have the votes, so they really aren't empowered to do that. I would say maybe folks at home do have power. There are a lot of Republican members who represent Congress, and if you're upset at this situation, you can call your Congress member. If anything I saw over my year and a half in Congress is that the members really are responsive to the calls and emails of folks at home. And so, that might be the thing that ultimately moves the needle. If members think that they're going to be punished 2 years from now in the next election cycle, that may change their calculus.
So how do you see this playing out? Once again today, because we're picking this back up at noon, there's going to be a vote right away. Every time they leave the room and they say that there's these meetings and there's these concessions, it comes back and it's either the same number of votes or sometimes even less for Kevin McCarthy. So how do you see this playing out today?
Well, I leave political prognostication to Byron Miranda, who's much better at it than I am. But I would say that I don't think that Kevin McCarthy is going to get the gavel. And I think that there's also a lot of tension with members who want to go home for a host of reasons. The House is not usually working on Friday, and there's a whole bunch of personal considerations. But I can't imagine that if this last round of negotiations didn't move folks into Kevin McCarthy's column, that we're going to see more people voting for him. I think, if anything, we'll see him starting to hemorrhage some of the support that he has right now.
And just like the weather, the future remains foggy. Political analyst Morgan Peckman, thanks again for being with us. We always appreciate your time.
Hazel, Dan, thank you so much.